Can you believe it? Baseball season is here today.
It's here today. We're gonna, we're posting this this episode on opening night for the Mariners. Yeah.
Who they put? The Athletics.
The Athletics, and how are they?
Just the Athletics.
Is that how it's worded, Dennis?
They're called the Athletics.
Okay.
They're now no longer the Oakland Athletics. They're playing in Sacramento for the next 3 years
Yeah.
before they move to Las Vegas
Yeah.
in a AAA stadium.
It is amazing.
It
Isn't
really
Yeah.
is.
Yeah. We're on the topic of baseball, and back in 1994, when the Mariners were actually making a real charge, a playoff run.
Yeah.
And then we had the strike, and it interrupted everything. But that was the year that the Kingdom had some problems with ceiling tiles. And so the Mariners had gone the road like forever. And I'm bringing this up because Lou Piniella was getting frustrated because he wanted to start playing some home games. So they were talking about maybe playing some at Cheney Stadium. So they were on the verge of maybe doing that too at that time.
Which doesn't hold. I don't think Cheney holds any more than 10,000. Not even that.
Right.
It's far less, I believe.
Well, Tampa Bay is playing in a minor league park this year
are.
at Steinbrenner Stadium there in Florida. And I did look that up because it seats around 11,000. So, yeah.
Major League Baseball.
It's weird, isn't it?
Well, that's about the number of people who show up for Tampa Bay games anyway.
Anyway, well, that's what they were saying. So they.
So you're talking about the opening of the baseball season.
Oh, okay, good.
And I'm convinced that baseball is at its best playing under God's lights, sunshine. The Mariners play afternoon baseball games on Wednesday sometimes, April 2nd, April 9th, April 30th, May 14th. I'm going to all those games.
I'll be with you at most of them, I think, because we both like those Wednesday afternoon games. Yeah.
And it's good to go into a day game because I believe I heard somewhere on talk radio a couple months ago, T-Mobile Park, they were talking about how it's so difficult to hit in,
Yeah.
and our pitchers are so very good here.
Right.
It's the coldest baseball park in baseball.
Is that right? Wow.
And I remember last year going to a couple of night games by myself, and I wore a pretty nice jacket. In about the 6th inning, I'm starting to shiver.
Is that right? Yeah.
So I have to get up and walk around to get warm.
Well, that's the big reason I like going to the day games and why I tag along on those Wednesday afternoon games because, I don't know, there's something about being down there on a weekday during the afternoon, too. It's really nice.
What's your favorite memory at T-Mobile Park?
At T-Mobile? Wow. That's a just off the top of the head question there. Well, what's yours? And then maybe I'll stumble around and
Well, I
think of
got a
one.
bunch.
You got a bunch? Well, tell me a couple of yours.
Well, I finally saw a couple of years ago, I went with my wife to an afternoon game, and we sat way up on the upper deck down the right field line and saw a Baltimore Orioles pitcher throw a no-hitter.
Really?
First time I ever saw a no-hitter.
Wow. Yeah, because I've
In
never
person.
seen one of those. Yeah.
So that was a great event. I saw a game against the Minnesota Twins, and I was sitting in the Minnesota Twins broadcast booth with my friend Dick Bramer, who at the time was the Twins play-by-play guy.
Yeah.
And Mike Zunino hit a home run in the bottom of the 9th inning to win the ball game.
Wow.
And that night on SportsCenter,
Okay.
they did a big deal about the Mariners win, home run in the bottom of the 9th. Let's compare the Mariners broadcast with the Twins broadcast.
Okay.
And they ran the radio broadcast of Dave Niehaus,
Okay.
who of course goes nuts.
Sure.
And then they run the television broadcast, which is a completely different animal
Okay.
for the Twins. And my friend Dick says, "There it goes," and just keeps quiet.
Is that
And
right?
he let the net sound play out because it was a big deal for the M's. It was a great ending.
Yeah.
Mike Zunino, who no longer is with the M's, and
Yeah.
he was the one who hit the game-winning home run.
Okay. Yeah, I'm having a hard time pinpointing one game. I will say one thing about the first time I ever went to a game there. I went with Alan Schaffler, one of our television friends, good buddy who used to work at King 5 also. And it's not so much that it was anything memorable happened on the field, but I think it was about the 3rd or 4th game played in the stadium because we didn't go to the opener, but we went soon after. I don't know. It was packed. It was a day game also, and we sat out in right field. Alan and I, and his wife too, was with us, and I think my daughter Emma's with us too. Emma and I, and Alan and his wife, and we just. I don't know. There was just such a buzz out there. We were in those right field seats just above the fence, and I just could feel the excitement. It was so cool to be in an outside ballpark after all those years as the Kingdome. So that's definitely a memory of a game. And then, I don't know, I guess Ichiro. I loved watching Ichiro play in there.
yeah.
I mean, in those early days at the stadium, that was such a joy just watching him play. So maybe I'm not pinpointing any specific home runs or anything, but those are a couple of memories that come to mind. Well, what we're going to do now, everybody, is because Dennis and I love going to baseball games, and we've been to quite a few over the years, I've just put together a little photo essay, you might call it, and it's done to that classic tune, Take Me Out to the Ball Game. All right, well, there you go, Denny. Just a few memories from recent years going to ball games down at T-Mobile Park.
You know, my favorite seat at the ballpark is in the upper deck, down the third base line, about 1 or 2 rows from the rail.
Mm-hmm.
And there you get great sun for about 6 or 7
Right.
innings. And when it's sunny and about 70 degrees,
Mm-hmm.
which doesn't sound like a lot,
Yeah.
it is heaven.
I think baseball has that sort of intoxicating aspect to it. Even if your team doesn't win much, like that's what we put up with here in Seattle. The Mariners are the only franchise to not go to a World Series yet, so we've felt the pain. But as far as the activity itself, you're right, Dennis. It's certainly one of my favorite things to do is just sit in the ballpark on a warm day.
Every year on the Major League Baseball channel, they rerun Ken Burns'
The
documentary on
yeah.
baseball.
Multi-part,
And
so.
I always record all of the episodes and watch them again every year.
Is that
It's
right?
just fabulous.
Yeah, yeah. Well, there you go, everybody. A little episode about baseball. Again, the Mariners opening night against the Athletics tonight.
I'll watch that on TV.
Yeah, I think I will too.
But
But
there's
we're
a game next week.
But we're going to go in a few days, right?
Yeah.
we are for sure. You might see us down at the ballpark, everybody.
So at this point, we're going to take a summer break, as if it's always summer for us anyway.
Yeah.
So we'll see you sometime in the fall, maybe
Yeah.
in the summer if we.
Yeah,
get
we
the
might
itch.
do some filming in the summer. That's one thought. But as far as new episodes, everybody, we might give this a little break. But good old Studio G, it's been a great way to spend the winter months.
Right.
Dennis.
Tell your friends about us.
Yeah, we're
Just-
here.
Yeah, we're not going to make money off this. Just watch for the heck of it.
Right, it's all for fun, everybody. All right, until next time, bye.
Have a good summer.
Yeah, great summer, everybody.